Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Canada's Movie and TV Hosers. I'm Gregory Barrett and with me is my lovely wife Christine.
Hi.
And this is our special guest star, Fluffy Kitty. She seems to be rather content right now.
So far.
She was just running around like crazy not too long ago. So this is a show where we talk about all things in fandom that we love. Movies, trailers, TV shows, streaming, books, audiobooks. Whatever we want. This is not a show where we talk about politics or what's going on in the world. This is a fun show where we talk about everything we like in pop culture. So if you like this video, please be sure to give us a thumbs up, like, and you can always subscribe for more content. I post video shorts all the time. What are we leading into next?
We're starting just with reviews today.
Yeah, last episode it was very news heavy. Because the big announcement from DCEU. So we're going to try and this is just going to be all reviews. No news, and we're not reviewing any trailers right now. And we're coming to you from outside here in the Great White North here. You know, it's nice and cold here today.
It was super cold yesterday. We beat some electricity use records. Because it was so cold here. Anyway, we're not on Hoth though.
No.
I'd like to say a little bit about that movie that my aunt actually... My uncle took me to see that movie in theaters.
Empire Strikes Back?
Yeah, when I was a little kid.
1980?
Uh-huh.
You're dating yourself a bit there.
I'm old.
It was the special edition. Say it was the special edition in 97.
I think it was maybe the first real person movie I saw in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd only seen Disney cartoons before that.
Mm-hmm.
I know I got really freaked out when they chopped open that poor Banta.
Yeah, that has some freaky parts in it for kids there.
But I really enjoyed it, and it was really fun. Yeah, because the first movie I only had on a record, so I had a little book that went with it. So I never did see the first movie, but I had the record of it, and I used to. So that does date me as well. And then I saw this movie.
Yeah, you talked about the record on the show before.
Way into it. Then by the time I saw this one.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
So we're going to jump into some reviews. Do you want to start off or should I?
I can start off if you want. I did see a couple of things last week. Yeah, I guess the first one I watched was a show called Mo. Came out in 2022. I don't know exactly when it came out, but
What's it on?
It's on Netflix. It came up on my Netflix. I said, I don't know what this is. So I'll look at it. I had no idea at all about it. Anyway.
Hey, what's the premise of the show?
It stars Mohamed Amir.
Is that the guy from Black Adam?
Yes, he is in Black Adam. He plays the uncle/brother in Black Adam.
Yeah,
but
he was
I guess he's a
show.
comedian. So this show, I didn't really know what it was at first. It's a little funny, but it's not very funny. It's more of a drama. Even though it sort of seems like it should be a comedy.
So it's a drama with a little bit of comedy in it.
Yeah. It's about a fella in the States who is in limbo with his citizenship. Mm-hmm. Because his family was born in the region, like we're from Palestine, as he says. Mm-hmm. They have a branding issue, he always says. And then they got, basically had to leave there and they got to Kuwait. And I believe he was supposed to be born in Kuwait, and his brother, and perhaps his sister as well. And then
just
they got kicked. I am
sell me on the show. Sell me on the show.
No, I'm not selling you. I'm telling what happens on the show. And then they get kicked out in the Gulf War in '91, and they get sent to the States. Mm-hmm. And they've been waiting for their citizenship ever since. So he cannot work legally. And he's trying to support his mother and his brother. His sister is now left. She's married a Canadian, as they say. And the father has passed away. And
this doesn't sound funny at all.
Okay. If this was a CBC done show, it would have been funnier. I think this is the only thing. I think there's no real precedent for this kind of show in the States. I think if a CBC would have done it, it would have been a lot more funny. I would miss a bit of the comedy. I think it could have been funny, but it's an interesting story. He has a girlfriend who's a Spanish lady, but he could just marry her to get citizenship, but he doesn't want to do that. This is the whole thing. He's very proud. He also keeps his cards really close to his heart, and he doesn't tell everybody what's going on, but he gets into really big trouble in this show. And
because he's an illegal alien?
He's not an illegal alien. He just has citizenship. He can't work.
Mm-hmm.
So when he's in his workplace and all of a sudden they're going to have an ice raid, he gets fired. The boss doesn't want them to get negative attention.
Mm-hmm.
So he can't work there anymore. He's just waiting. He's in limbo. His trial keeps on getting postponed. And his family's, for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But now sister's okay because she married a Canadian. Now that's the only thing I really don't like in it. Their portrayal of Canadians, which is so dumb, and always the stupid A thing. I'm so sick of that. It's really dumb. I don't like that at all. It's just this like really nice guy, happy, like he's almost like a Ned Flanders character. And he says A all the time. Okay, stop with that, Americans. Anyway, that's the only thing I didn't like about the show was the Canadian in it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's a good show. It's just not what I thought. It's not a comedy, essentially. But it's interesting, and it ends up, we'll have to see. I want to know what happens to him in season 2.
Just one season?
Yeah.
Does it end on a cliffhanger?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay. Best series ever, worst series ever?
Don't do that. I give it probably a solid 85. But I think I wish CBC would have done this show because it would have been really funny.
Okay. For people who don't know,
comedy.
CBC is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. It's the major broadcasting company in Canada. No one watches it unless you're
watch it.
Unless you're over 60.
But they're good at comedy, and I think they could take something like this. It's like Little Mosque on the Prairie or something, and make it funny.
Was that a popular show?
Yeah, it's a fun show.
Okay. Because I know people have been enjoying things, because on Netflix they put on Schitt's Creek and Kim's Convenience.
Yeah.
Those are really good shows. I
Mosque
haven't
on the
watched all of
Prairie.
Kim's Convenience, but what I did saw was great.
Stars Carla Rota.
Okay, so this
Anyway.
series has a poor rating from you, this Mo.
I'm not saying that. It's an 85. I just wish it was funnier, but I still enjoyed it, and it really demonstrates the problems that are in the States, and the problems with how they treat people from other countries and not giving them enough respect. Also.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Immigration issues. Well, I'm not going to comment on that for the U.S. Have you guys checked out Mo on Netflix? This came out last year?
It came out in 2022.
Yeah.
I don't know when it came out, but
I
it's
haven't
new.
seen it, and Christine did not sell me on this at all, so I ain't watching
I'm
this.
not trying to sell. I'm just saying what it's about. It's still interesting. It's an interesting story, and I'm sure there are many people in the States with the same issue.
Oh, yeah.
People who don't have a country. He doesn't have a country anymore. He doesn't actually have a citizenship anywhere. It's like that Tom Hanks movie
Okay, so
in the
it's
airport.
The Terminal.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a bit like that,
Or
but
Edward
22 years. 22 years of that.
Yeah.
From when he was a boy,
Okay.
right? So, yeah.
If you guys checked out Mo on Netflix, let us know down in the comments below. We'll read it out on a future show.
Yeah.
Next, well, speaking of Muhammad Amir, I watched my new 4K disc of Black Adam that I mentioned last time. Man, this movie's so much fun. This is my third time viewing it. I had a great time. I seem to enjoy it more each time I go to watch it. And I just pick up more stuff, and I just ignore the bad stuff in it. Like, the kid is not very good. I mean, the woman, she's tough, but she's kind of a Mary Sue. Black Adam's really good in it. I love the Justice Society. I love all the jokes in it.
Society. I think that was the big problem with the movie.
Oh, that was so good. Aldrich Hodge as Hawkman.
Terrible.
So
Terrible.
good. So good. Don't
Terrible.
worry about it. He was amazing. He was so pissed off. He was so angry, and it was
They
hilarious.
needed to just extract that whole team from the movie and throw it out. And it should have been about the mother, the brother, and the son, and their story, and how Black Adam's story. That
Take
whole
away that. Take the
team,
kid out.
Just take it, and it's like an infected wound. Just
Oh,
get
no.
it out of
I
there
mean-
with a needle.
Hawkman, Aldous Hodge was great. Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate.
Terrible.
I mean, he's got this great Irish accent because he's Irish. It's
Terrible.
amazing. Okay, I'm doing my review here,
I saw
okay?
it too.
And Adam Smasher is hilarious because he's the new guy and he doesn't know what he's doing, and he's always hungry. And so he has to go to KFC when they're in Condonk, which is actually labeled Condonk Fried Chicken. Look for that on the street. I didn't notice it the first time. I noticed it on my second time. There was lots of jokes in it.
That whole team is ridiculous, and they don't even know each other, and they're not professional at all. They're supposed to be saving the world. Like, I just think that let the whole movie down. That whole team of
this story of Black Adam is the classic superhero team up. They punch for a bit, then they're mates. So the Justice Society goes in because Black Adam's been woken up after, 7,000 years. So they go in there, they punch for a bit, then they go and talk to him while Adam Smasher's eating his KFC, the Condom Fried Chicken they got on the street. And then they have to team up. The villain is forgettable. I mean, and some of the dialogue in it is really bad, but I like how they lean into the comic book wackiness of it.
And I don't. And I think that team is totally just ruined the movie. Ruined the movie.
Okay.
Maybe they're trying to introduce new characters to their universe, but it's not necessary in this movie, and that's where the movie fails. They did
introduce new characters, and I hope that they actually bring some of these characters back. As I put in my tweet that I read out on the last episode, they might bring back Dwayne Johnson to play Black Adam again. That would be pretty amazing.
I think instead, focusing on the story of Black Adam and who he is and who he isn't.
Well, Black Adam's a villain.
No, but that's a really interesting story. And the story about the family that he gets involved in, digging more into that would have been a rewarding movie and a really well-written movie if they would have tried. Instead of just putting random asshole superheroes in there.
I'm not saying the writing in this movie is good. This movie has a lot of bad things in it, but that's part of the fun of it. That's what everyone said when it came out back in October. It was, you should go see this. Not because it's good. It's actually quite bad, but you'll have a really fun time with it.
Anyway.
But I definitely recommend checking out Black Adam, which just came out last year in 2022. That's the newest DCEU movie that we have. Next, we're getting Shazam, Fury of the Gods in March. Looking forward to that. It's not too far away. I give that a best movie ever. I'm enjoying it even more. Okay? And that was actually one of the things that we first reviewed when we first started the show back in October.
It wasn't that long ago that we watched it.
Well, it just came out. I got my physical media copy, so I can watch it as many times as I want now.
Right. All the things that I liked about it, you didn't like. All the things you liked about it, I didn't like.
Yeah, it's art. It's great. See? So everyone can watch it and have a different opinion of it. I think it's great, and I had a really fun... Well, I think it's actually kind of a bad movie, but it's really fun time. Christine just likes to, crap on this a lot.
It really bothered me, because I think it could have been good, and I loved his portrayal of Black Adam. You did, too. That's the one thing we agree on.
He was making a lot of jokes. It's like, did you get the guy... Did you capture that guy? Is he a prisoner? He's like, unfortunately, he didn't make it, because he threw him, and then he lands in the background.
The language they were using... And that superhero team, those are the two things that needed editing. Anyway, in my opinion.
I thought it was great.
Anyway.
It was great. I would have just taken out that kid, but that kid was rough to watch on screen.
When the kid was...
Oh, well. If you guys checked out Black Adam, did you see it in the theater? Have you discovered it since? Because it's now on HBOMax.
Do you have to pay for it? Probably to rent it?
If you have HBOMax, you're already paying for that. Here in Canada, we have Crave. So it's streaming here on Crave.
I was trying to watch a show on Crave.
It's not as good as HBO Max.
A show
it doesn't have half the things that HBO Max does.
I missed it. And let me tell you about a Crave for a minute, okay? And I can't hear the show probably. And our daughter, I was watching Will Trent. It's a show, I missed it. So I never recorded it. So I tried to watch it on Crave. Get caught up on the first episode. I can't really tell I have a hearing problem. I don't hear out one ear. But I couldn't tell what the characters were saying.
Good kitty.
In some places. And my daughter also, she watched some of it. And she said, no, I can't tell what they're saying either. They're like mumbling.
Could be bad audio.
There's no closed captioning on it. On Crave. Yes. Because that's the thing. I couldn't tell. And you cannot rewind it. You can only just... Yes.
I watch stuff on Crave all the time and I can rewind it.
When you're trying to watch Crave TV shows that are on, like this was something that was on CTV, it's really irritating. They make you watch the commercial and you cannot rewind it or fast. You just have to watch it and then so I couldn't tell. Like there were scenes, I couldn't tell what they were talking about.
I don't think that's a problem with Crave because I don't have a problem with that.
It is when you're trying to watch TV
remember your
shows.
favorite movie from the pandemic, Tenet, that you went to go see
yeah, but that's
twice?
A movie. That's different. I'm talking about...
No, there was bad audio, and everyone said so. That was in the recording.
I could hear that one. I'm talking about television shows. Like, you don't know because you don't watch television at all. Like, you're not... But, like, a show, like, something like CTV or Global, or I don't know what else's channels are on there. They don't have CBC, but those channels...
You're talking about Canadian channels. No one's going to understand what you're talking about.
Well, they have the most recent television shows from those channels. And they have them, and you can watch them. Now, they get rid of them. You only... Like, say if there's 10 episodes, they might only have the first 5, and then they get rid of number 2 and number 1. You know, they only put a few on.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're trying to get caught up on a show... if you don't have the PVR, doesn't work or whatever, you don't see it. That's what I'm talking about. And they don't have closed captioning, and you can't even pause it or rewind it or fast forward it. It's really irritating.
Interrupted my review of Black Adam to talk about this.
Finished that. Oh, you were talking about Crave. You finished your review of Black. I'm just talking about Crave. It's really irritating. I wish we did have HBOMax or a better service.
Oh, it's way better.
Because
they have way more things on it.
Irritating.
Yeah, well, that's due to territorial rights. And thanks, Warner Brothers. Maybe you guys, if no one's from Warner Brothers going to watch this, but if they did, you know, maybe they could work on it with David Zaslav and new leadership there.
People need to talk to me about it. I can help them out a little bit.
Anyway. I know they have similar problems in Australia where everything gets licensed out to local service providers there, and they're even worse there, from what I hear. I've never been to Australia.
Anyway. I don't know if I'll watch this Will Trent show or not, because I guess it's 5 episodes or 6 in, and I can't tell what he's saying half the time. So
okay. Let's review something together next. So next we have been watching the new 4K set that you got me for Christmas.
Yeah. We
have been watching the extended versions of the Lord of the Rings, which are all roughly 4 hours long each. So we watched them over 2 days each. We watched part 1 one day, and then watched the next part. So last weekend... we finished watching The Fellowship of the Ring, the extended version, which is from 2001.
Yeah.
22 years old. Still holds up. Still holds up. Some of the visual effects, they're not so great. And maybe it's because we're watching it on 4K. Great. Oh, it definitely...
I love it. I still love it.
So, is this your first time watching the extended versions of these movies?
Yeah, because as I was watching... Like, I haven't seen these movies in quite a few years.
How long would you say?
I don't know. Probably, like, maybe 6 years or more.
I just watched these maybe 6 months ago with the kid. I haven't
watched them in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not always sure exactly of what... in the normal edited version where a scene ends, but I'm seeing all this stuff that I don't remember from before. I found it really nice to see some of that extra stuff. I'm not sure exactly what is, so it's good for me to have watched it now because I haven't seen them in a long time. I'm really enjoying it and seeing more dialogue and more little, just more stuff. So I really enjoyed it. However, it does take a long time.
Yep.
So it's like, yeah, we had a few storms here this weekend. We haven't been going anywhere, so I guess we have time.
Well, most of January was really good here, but this weekend it's really cold.
A lot of time to watch them. And last night it paused, like we had 10 seconds left and it froze and we had to get off and fix it.
The player is finicky to dust. I find those 4K players are very finicky
anyway,
to dust. We started into watching The Two Towers last night, but...
Yeah.
Now, I mean, we can spoil it. These movies are over 20 years old now, and the books are really long. So, have you been enjoying the extra scenes that you never seen before?
Because like I said, I'm enjoying the little extra parts, and I'm not always sure when it is extra, because I have seen the movies a few times each one. Especially this one, I haven't seen it as often, but I'm just enjoying it all and just taking in all the Tolkien
One thing I've noticed this time that I'm rewatching these movies is that the setting plays a really big part in the story, in the narrative that they tell. So when you start in the Fellowship of the Ring, and it starts in the Shire, this is like the middle of summer. This is the height of summer. Okay? All the crops are growing. It's beautiful. It's sunny out. Everything is green and lush. They're throwing this big party for Bilbo, right? And
Yeah.
Because the story takes place over a long time, they start at the height of summer, so that as you go through it, now we're in the Rohan, okay?
Yeah.
And now it's cold and it's fall, so they've gone from summer and then it just slowly gets cold, and you can see how, like, as the weather deteriorates and it gets colder and colder, that's like a harbinger of how things are getting worse.
I suppose, but they also go up in altitude a lot, and that makes more snow. Like they go up in altitude.
They go up into the mountains there.
Mountains and stuff. But you know what I love about it is something that a couple of shows didn't quite get, like Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman.
Was that good? Lord of the Rings?
It does, because if you're walking someplace, it takes a long time to get somewhere, right? You don't just take a little rowboat and get yourself all the way in Europe in one night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is a smaller place than Canada, but still, I mean, that was what I really hate about that first Wonder Woman movie. It's like, oh yeah, we'll just walk all around where the war is, and we're not, it's just like down the street, like 2 blocks.
Well, that is how you got to the front. You marched.
No, and also I know another show that really was lacking was the show.
Let's bring it back to the Lord of the Rings.
I'm talking about it. They have to walk in these terrible places and cold places and mountains and stuff trying to get. I like it because it's so realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what happens if you have to walk all over.
That's why a lot of people don't like those movies, because they walk everywhere.
Well, I think it's really what would have happened.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say a show that was really poorly done on that was Frontier. That was a show that was made in Newfoundland. Sorry, Jason Momoa. You didn't watch it. And it was also made in Cape Breton a little bit. But, I mean, they were just walking around like, they get up from Montreal to up in Hudson's Bay overnight, just like a little...
That's a long way to go. That's a long way to walk.
You gotta take, Yeah. Kind of lame.
So some people don't like that. In fact, Kevin Smith famously had a big rant about that in Clerks too, because he didn't like how they're just walking everywhere.
Well, that's the reality.
I enjoy these movies. I read these books long ago, and every time I watch these movies, all I think of is parallels to real life, because J.R.R. Tolkien served in the First World War. Okay? Yeah. And he was alive for the Second World War.
He used to walk all over the place. Unlike Wonder Woman.
Okay. And to me, now I don't know, but I think that probably The Hobbit, because it has much more charm and more innocence to it.
Yes.
I'm thinking that was pre-First World War is really where he came up with that, because the Lord of the Rings books that he wrote afterwards, these are all like parallels and metaphors to the real world. Because as I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, so the Shire and the Fellowship, like the 4 hobbits, that's him and his friends. I don't know if you ever saw that Tolkien movie. I don't think anyone did. It was about his life and his imagination. But that's him and the Fellowship of his friends. Well, and they're from this little small town in England. And they're just this quaint village. And then as you go along, the world becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And so each of the different peoples represent different people in real life. So Mordor and Sauron, that would be Germany, okay? For Second World War, that would be Nazi Germany. The old enemy has returned because the German Empire, although it wasn't Nazi, but in the First World War.
No, the First World War it wasn't really.
No, it wasn't. It was under the what's his name, the Kaiser.
Well,
okay, so this was all about the royal families of Europe.
Both sides. Countries can then come to your town and affect it in a great way. Like the Shire, they're so worried that the Shire is going to burn. The Shire is going to... This stuff is going to affect the Shire, right?
So Mordor, to me, that's Germany. And Isengard and Saruman, that's Italy. And Saruman, I guess, is
Italy has
Mussolini.
More volcanoes.
Mussolini.
Maybe it's Italy.
I didn't say it was exact.
I'm just joking.
Okay? I didn't say it was exact.
All those volcanoes.
And I'm trying to figure out what all things. So the Eldar, the elves, they represent the royal families of Europe.
They do?
Yeah, because they're leaving Middle Earth.
I don't know.
They're leaving Middle Earth, and they're never to be seen again because the royal families left the world pretty much after the First World War. Then it was no longer the Age of Empire, and then it became more about different powers.
They just didn't have as much power.
once again, it's not exact, right?
Anyway,
but all
I
I
just
see is
enjoy
parallels.
watching the movies because it's a good story. It has good characters. The characters have character development. It makes sense. It's an overwhelming enemy that it's also the underdog. It's definitely an underdog story. Everyone loves an underdog story. Yeah. That's what it's about. It's an underdog story with basically Frodo is the big underdog and he is going to save the world. That's what it's about. I don't really get into about war.
It does have so many similarities to the real world.
Write a paper about it.
I don't know if I've never read anything on that.
I just enjoy it. I think it's great. I love the characters and the intricacies about it. Although I must say,
and the dwarves are not in the Lord of the Rings very much. They're more in the Hobbit. And you know who the dwarves represent?
I don't know.
The French.
I don't think they're like the French at all.
No, they represent the French in this story. Okay? You ever heard of the Maginot Line?
Yeah.
So that's underground bunkers that they built along the border, and the dwarves are always underground.
Now, although my ethnicity has been determined that I am not French, I still think you're insulting the French there, calling them dwarves. Anyway,
I'm not trying to insult anyone here.
I don't think the dwarves are like the French. I didn't
say they were like the French.
No. Anyway, I'm not. Listen, it's a great story. It has great characters. It's very interesting. The two towers where we get to with the first movie is they get with Gandalf and they're going on the walk and
they're going on the quest.
They run into the Balrog and he goes off falls with the Balrog and now they're separate. The quest is now separated, and it's just Bilbo and Frodo and
if you want to learn more about Balrog,
Frodo and Sam going off, and then the other quests are gone to rescue the other hobbits. That's how the first one.
Finish reading the Silmarillion, and then you'll learn more about the Balrogs and the dragons and everything.
I might give up on that. I've been trying to read the Silmarillion. I'm finding it extremely challenging.
More challenging than these 4-hour movies?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not caring for it. I'm really trying here, but I feel like my brain is on fire and I'm doing a history test at all times. Okay. I'm not caring for it. I'm hoping it's getting better, but I don't know if I can get through it. But I just enjoy these movies. They're fun. In the Two Towers so far, we've gotten through that Gandalf has not died. We've seen that. He's
been reborn. They're comparing him to Jesus with the reincarnation.
Not really.
He's been reincarnated as Gandalf the White.
He's not. I don't know. That wouldn't be Jesus. That would be more a Buddhism thing.
I'm guessing he fell from the sky again because we saw him fall from the sky in Rings of Power. And so what happened was after he defeated the Balrog, okay, and then darkness took him. And then I think they sent him back, the Valar, the gods. They sent him back, so he probably landed from the sky again, except this time he's Gandalf the White.
He was on a tall tower when he defeated the Balrog. Anyway, whatever. And now, Sam and Frodo are off, and they've run into Gollum. Gollum is guiding them into Mordor.
Yeah, those effects aren't holding up as well.
And the other hobbits have ganged up with the Ents. And now they're off, and they see the horse people who are.
That's one of the worst parts of these movies, of this trilogy to me, is the ants, the talking trees.
Oh.
Oh boy.
I don't know. I don't mind it because I liked it.
And there's a lot more in these extended versions.
I liked the ants in the books.
I didn't.
That I remember. I don't like the battling in the books. One of the books, I just stopped reading it and came back to it later, skipped some pages. I hate the battles.
There's a lot of filler in those books.
I like the ants. I like
Tolkien isn't known for writing very action heavy and things that keep you really engaged. You really gotta slog through some of it.
Anyway, I like the ant
Fellowship of the Ring, I give it best movie ever, of course, in the extended version. I don't even really watch the theatrical versions anymore. I just want to see all of it, so. But
I don't know. It's good. It's fun. It's continuing the story. We don't know if they're going to succeed or not. There's still really things that are against them.
We know. We've seen it before.
I know, but You can't just, when you're watching something.
We gotta move on.
Okay.
What rating do you want to give this?
The second one?
No, the first one that we finished.
Oh, the first one. Oh, I give it, that's for sure a 95 on that one.
Okay. Have you guys seen the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which is over 20 years old now? Return of the King came out in 2003. If you haven't, check it out. Let us know what you think. Have you watched the extended versions, or do you only watch the theatrical versions? If it's your first time, just watch the theatrical ones, because the extended versions are really long. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. We'll read it out in the next one.
Okay.
You got another review for us?
Okay, yeah. I ended up watching Lockwood Company.
Mm-hmm.
Or just because I was looking what was on there and I said, okay, I'll give it a chance. It looks stupid.
That was the one where...
about it with the kids and swords.
Yeah, British people are giving the kids swords, apparently.
Yeah, and why would it only be these teenagers that are fighting these ghosts? I had questions about it and looked kind of dumb. It looked like Supergirl or something.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it looked dumb. Anyway, I thought, I'll give it a chance. It's a British show, but it's made it to Netflix, so there must be something going on. So I watched it, and it was much better than that.
Mm-hmm.
It was much better because it's an alternate timeline. It's an alternate Earth. It's not our Earth. Okay. So that's why it explains the situation. So it's basically, not really spoilers, but it's about something called The Problem, as they call it.
Okay.
The problem has been going on for 50 years now. It's like the anniversary of the 50 years of the problem. The problem being that the ghosts are everywhere.
There's ghosts in this world.
Yeah, and
they just call Ghostbusters.
Touch you die. So
definitely called Ghostbusters.
Or they don't necessarily have to touch you. They can ghost lock you so you go in a coma.
Mm-hmm.
So they have all these people in these
Can the ghosts
comas.
take over living people?
No, they're just ghosts, and you can fight them with iron and silver, and that's why they have these swords, right?
Because you can't bullets.
Let them touch. No, they use bombs that spray up different chemicals, and they use silver swords, and they use iron chains.
So mostly medieval weapons.
Kinda, it's very medieval, and the whole idea is that they don't have any technology because this whole crash when there's no technology because the problem.
No phones.
Well, it's just they don't have cellular phones or anything like that. There's no internet, nothing like that, because basically people have been focused on dealing with this problem. They call it the problem, and
they only let kids fight the ghosts.
Only kids can see them.
Okay.
Only kids have these special abilities that they can see them. Like there's different ones. Some of them can see where someone has died. They can see like a pattern where someone has died. They know that there was a dead person there.
But adults can't see the ghosts.
No.
Why not?
That's just the way it is.
When do you lose this ability?
This is the thing. You start losing the ability. And if there's agencies that are built to fight these ghosts, of course, people pay a lot of money to rid ghosts of their house house, and parents are selling their kids off to these agencies. Because if you have a gifted child, the child doesn't necessarily want to do it, but the parents want the money because it's good money. So they sell the children off to these agencies.
So it's Harry Potter.
No, Harry Potter is not sold off. Harry Potter is invited to a school. It's different. So they're being used, but some of this is the only thing these kids have going for them. So they're like stars in a way. It's almost like child actors.
They're celebrities, but then once you turn 20, you lose your power.
Or younger than that, yes, and we see that in this. We see that.
And then they just become boring adults.
Then they can't fight them anymore. But they're supposed to have an adult supervising them, right? Because kids, they're still kids. Anyway, so that's the story behind it. So it makes a lot more sense. I still don't like the sword thing, though. I think it's stupid. They're going around town everywhere with a sword. I don't think they'd let that happen.
It's British history in medieval times.
Anyway, so it does explain it more. And it is an interesting story. But I still have, now maybe they're books. So maybe there's more explained about the problem. But I have, a billion questions about the problem. And they're not answered. So that was my problem with it, because I have a whole bunch of questions that I want answered, and I wasn't getting the answers.
Okay.
I need a Tolkien encyclopedia or something.
So this is the worst show ever?
No, it's an okay show. I did enjoy it. It has good characters, it has character development in. I give it like an 83, 84.
I'm surprised you checked this out, because when I watched that February preview with all the stuff coming out in February on Netflix, I watched it and I was like, this does not look good. It reminded me of That Kid Who Would Be King and all these things where there's all kinds of stuff where it comes out of all this British stuff that comes out where they're always giving kids swords and fighting with medieval armor and that, and I'm like,
not necessarily.
I guess, but I'm not really into that.
The fact that I thought I would look at it was because I thought I would give it a chance, because it was Netflix had picked it up. Netflix didn't make it. They picked it up, so must had something going for it. So I just watched it and I did enjoy it.
Is this from the BBC?
I'm not sure if it was BBC originally, but I
was
do
it
like
Netflix
it.
original?
I don't think.
Okay, what rating would you give
It
it?
said like an 83. I liked it.
Okay.
It has a story. I like Lock and Key. I liked better because it had more of a story. It was more, and there's more seasons, of course. But this, if there's a season 2, I need to know more about the problem. Basically, I wanted to know more. The rules of the world are not really explained. As you keep on watching, you learn more. But I don't have all the information I need about this world. I'm assuming it's in the books. But it's like, it was teasing me because I don't have all the information. Okay. Yeah.
So that's what Christine thinks on Lockwood Co, which is on Netflix right now. It just came out.
Yeah, it just
came out in February.
Yeah.
I'm not checking it out. It doesn't look interesting to me, so I can't comment on it. What do you guys think of Lockwood Co? Let us know down in the comments below. Should we do one more? I'm going to do one more quick review, if you don't mind.
Oh, okay.
So I finished another Star Wars book. I finished from the Star Wars High Republic series, The Rising Storm by Cavan Scott. Because previously I had read the first one, The Light of the Jedi.
Okay.
And I didn't enjoy the first third of that book.
I didn't like that
This one was better. So these books, they could almost be a Star Wars trilogy. You could make a movie out of them. However, they're not overly exciting because what I've narrowed it down to is there's lots of characters. So there's tons of Jedi. There's tons of there's the Supreme Chancellor of the Republic.
Are they focusing in on just a couple?
No, there's all kinds of them, and you don't get to spend much time with any of them, so you really don't care about any of them. And they're all these ridiculous Star Wars names. So you got the Supreme Chancellor, Lena So. Okay. And she's got a kid, and she's got these two weird beasts that follow her around. They're like her guardians, but she's barely in it. She's barely a supporting character.
It sounds like what I'm having for the Silmarillion. And same challenge I'm having.
And then you got this. So here, I'll show you this one here. So this guy here with the blue lightsaber, that's Jedi Master Stellan Gaios. Yeah, it's hard names. This is a Padawan named this black guy, Bel Zettifar. Okay? And then this is Ty Yorick, who isn't a Jedi, and we don't know her backstory. Anyway, the point of these books is it's in the High Republic. It's long before the prequel trilogy.
Is this fan fiction or something?
No, this is actually in Star Wars canon. This is put out by Lucasfilm and Disney.
Okay.
And they consider it to be canonical. And we'll see. The only character in these books that you would recognize would be Yoda. And they only mention him offhand.
900.
They maybe only... but they only mention him offhand once or maybe twice in each book. Usually just once.
Right. I'm laughing at the cat.
So... yeah, she's running around here doing her thing. She's a little bit frisky now. So it's all about them battling. Here she is. It's all about them battling these raiders called the Nihil.
Okay,
and
they're nihilists or something?
I guess. So they're these pirates from...
it's like the Big Lebowski?
From the Outer Rim. But they have this special way they can travel through hyperspace. They call it the Paths. So they don't have to use hyperspace lanes and everything.
Mold like in Discovery.
They can just jump in and out all the time and get away faster and come out of nowhere.
Like Discovery.
And just
you
raid.
Didn't watch Discovery.
Star Trek Discovery?
Yeah.
Oh, that was garbage.
You used the mold.
Sure. And you scared the cat.
I didn't scare her. She's just really crazy right now.
So these books, while they're interesting, I'm not tied to any of these characters, and I'm constantly
Right.
just trying to have to remember who is this character. And as soon as you learn a new character, I remember at the beginning of the first book, there's a prologue, and it talks about this captain. I'm like, okay, I gotta remember this captain's name. She's important, right?
Right.
And then at the end of the prologue, dead.
Right.
Like, oh, well,
this
what?
is similar to the similarity
And
that
you,
I'm having.
and you gotta remember all these difficult names.
Yeah.
And it's just... Anyway, so it's the High Republic, and they're fighting these pirates, and they don't have their own army. There's no army of the Republic. They don't
Right.
even have a defense force. There's some
just
senator
have
that's
some
always pushing for that. They got the
swords.
Jedi
Yeah.
and a little bit of some volunteer defense force. They're not blowing me away, but I
No.
am interested in learn more about the Star Wars lore. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish reading. I finished reading this book, and now I'm reading the next one, which is called. What is it called? I don't even remember.
That doesn't sound the greatest.
It's called The
They're
Fallen.
big books.
They're like 400 pages or so.
Oh my god.
It's called The Fallen Star. So that's the third of this series. After that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read some other stuff. Probably, I might read some of the Star Wars Legends stuff,
Okay.
which is
Maybe
not
that'll be
canonical.
better. Oh.
That's all the stuff from before Disney took it over.
Okay.
And it's all that extended, all this extended universe stuff that they created. And when
Oh.
Disney bought Lucasfilm, they said all that stuff is now Legends. Maybe it happened, maybe some of it didn't.
Oh.
It's just, we're not following it, we're not tied to this. Because it didn't follow any type of canonical nature, okay?
Oh.
It contradicted itself all the time.
So you're not crazy about these books.
They're okay. I'm hoping to learn more about
It's a
some
lot
other
to
characters. I want to read, there is one from the High Republic series. It's about Dooku. And it's about
That
him
might
as
be
a
more
fallen
interesting.
Jedi.
That might be more interesting.
Because then you know that character, and I want to hear more about his backstory. He is a quite interesting character.
Right.
Except from what we've seen in Clone Wars
Right.
and Rebels. Those not Rebels.
Right.
Sorry,
In the
Clone Wars was
animated
great.
Series, we saw a lot more.
We saw
of
a lot of Dooku. In fact, Christopher Lee was even in the first Clone Wars, the TV movie.
Right.
Where they had to go rescue one of the Hutts.
Okay, it was him because he's passed away now.
Yeah, Christopher.
He's also great in the Hobbit.
But he was
in the Lord of the Rings.
he
Series
was
that we're
in. He
watching.
did voice acting in that movie, and so did a bunch of other ones. Sam Jackson might have been in it too,
Right.
but not like Hayden Christensen or Ewan McGregor, unfortunately.
Kitty.
Overall, I can't. It's just kind of. I can't really recommend it. If you're really into Star Wars and you want to learn more about it, yeah, check it out. But I'm just going to keep reading some of these Star Wars books and hopefully get to some really good ones. These ones are just
Hopefully there are good ones.
So I guess
that one, the first one is not very good.
I guess
This
I
is
guess
so
on the
total.
internet rating system of best book ever or worst book ever, I have to give
Right.
both of these worst book ever
Oh.
because they're not. The only reason I'm reading them is because they're Star Wars.
Right. I mean, that's a
The
lot
stories ain't great.
of book. That's a thick book to be not enjoying.
It's pretty easy to get through compared to, say, Tolkien.
I'm trying to Tolkien. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see if I've continued on the next
A lot of
episode
people
or not.
can't read The Lord of the Rings or the
I
Silmarillion.
read the Lord of the Rings
It's tough
series
to
and The
get through it.
Hobbit, but this is tough. This is the similar or whatever it is. It's
Yeah.
tough.
Well, you let us know if you continue with that. Anyway, are you guys reading any of the Star Wars novels?
Probably
If you
not.
are, let us know what you think down in the comments below. Can you recommend any good ones that I should check out? Christine, how
Right.
can people get in touch with us?
They can email us at CanadaMovieTVHosers@gmail.com.
Yep, check
They
that all
can
the time.
Follow us on Twitter at Canada Hosers. They can also use
That's where
the-
we post all the when new episodes go up.
Yes, they can also communicate with us at the hashtag Canada Hosers. So hashtag Canada
Yeah, if you want to send
Hosers.
a message to us, use that hashtag.
And you can follow Gregory on Twitter at St. John's Critic. And there's no period there. It's just St. John's.
St. John's Critic.
No
Yeah.
apostrophe or dot.
That's okay. I'll put it up on the screen in the
and-
description below.
Like or subscribe down below.
Please. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you're enjoying our nonsensical ramblings, we're going to sign off. Take care, everyone.
Bye.